Oh, you can see the cloud cover now coming overhead. Wind gusts, we told you, up to 25 miles per hour, but the temperature more than comfortable. 80 degrees as we are ready for the kick here at Sun Life Stadium. Mike Munchak, the second-year head coach of the Tennessee Titans, put on notice this week by his owner, Bud Adams. We'll get into that as the game progresses. And there is Joe Philbin, his counterpart, year one, trying to get this Dolphins franchise back to prominence. Tennessee winning the toss, they defer, and so Miami will receive to start. Spiro Ditas, Steve Tasker, our entire CBS crew with you from Miami. Dolphins at 4-4. Their three-game winning streak snapped last Sunday at the Colts. And we all know what happened to the Titans last Sunday at home to Chicago, a 51-20 drubbing at the hands of Jay Cutler and the Bears. This is Marcus Thigpen on the return. As Miami will start just past their own 20-yard line. So Ryan Tannehill, the 8th overall pick in April's NFL draft, onto the field. He has really limited his mistakes. No interceptions from Tannehill over Miami's last 4 games. A completion percentage of just under 59%. Well, Tannehill last Sunday was good. The only problem was Andrew Luck was great. As the Colts just had the answers down the stretch and won that game. 1st and 10 from the 24. Tannehill has time out of the backfield, finds Reggie Bush, makes the first guy miss, as Reggie usually does. Tackle made finally from the back by Colin McCarthy. Starters up front, Jake Long, the left tackle, 4 Pro Bowls in each of his 4 seasons, but for the first time in his career, Long has looked human of late. Backs and receivers, the #1 target has been Brian Hartline. What a great story he's been. Former 4th-round pick, leads the Dolphins with 41 receptions and better than 660 yards. This will be 2nd and 2 from the 32. And thought maybe Miami would take a shot. Instead, they keep it conservative. Move the chains as they find Hartline for 3 and a first down. Defensive starters across the football. Cameron Wembley, 7th-year veteran, first season with the Titans after spending the last 2 in Oakland with the Raiders. Linebackers headlined by Akeem Ayers. Their leading tackler started all 16 games as a rookie a year ago. Back end of this defense has been shaky, to say the least. Michael Griffin, a long-tenured man in that Tennessee secondary. A 2-time Pro Bowl selection. 1st and 10. Miami keeps it on the ground. This is Bush out past the 40. After a good pickup on first down, they go for 7.
You know, one of the reasons that Ryan Tannehill has played so well is because of Reggie Bush. Bush's ability to make guys miss. I mean, if you want to talk about what it takes to play good defense in the NFL, it's tackling. The first guy to the ball makes the tackle. Well, Reggie Bush makes that impossible. He makes the first guy miss, perhaps more than anybody else, certainly in the AFC East. He's a very good back, very elusive, and the Dolphins use him in a variety of ways.
This is 2nd and 3. They give it to Bush again. And Bush is closer to that first down marker. You know, Steve, you think back, Reggie Bush, 2.5 weeks into the season, led the league in rushing, had that big outburst against the Raiders, went for 172 yards. You thought maybe this would be a career year, but his production since then has kind of steadily declined.
Well, he got nicked up a little bit, so he's been injured in and out and hasn't been 100%. But you see that last run there, hard run up inside the tackles. A lot of people still don't think he can make that run.
So 3rd and short. And Tennessee trying to hold defensively, and they do, as they're able to push Miami backwards on 3rd and short.
And you think that's one of the things. Reggie Bush just ran a hard 3-yard run off tackle, and you give it to the big fullback trying to get that extra yard. He just can't get it. That's Lane trying to bounce in there. He's almost 300 pounds, and if you've got a 300-pound fullback who can't get that extra 2 yards for a first down, it may be a long day for the Dolphins.
So Lane, the rookie out of Texas A&M, pushed backwards. And Miami will punt. Dan Carpenter, 50-year veteran out of Montana. Excellent punting conditions today. And an even better coverage play from the guys in front of him. 48-yard punt. And Raynaud was hammered right after he made the catch. Marlon Moore got there first for Miami. Jake Locker onto the field when we come back. Jake Locker brings his Titans offense onto the field. First time we've seen Locker in 6 weeks. Multiple dislocations of the left shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder, as they keep it on the ground to Chris Johnson on 1st and 10. So Locker onto the field, making just his 10th career appearance and just the 5th start of his brief 2-year career. 63% completion percentage over the first 4 games of the season. Injured the shoulder initially week 1 against Houston, was able to play through it for a couple of weeks, and then week 4 banged it again against the Texans and has been on the shelf since then. This is 2nd and 4. Locker goes play action, able to move well on the run, and he throws it out of bounds. Steve, you wonder what kind of factor that off shoulder will be as we watch him today. Let's take a look at the starters up front. Deuce Latui taking over now. He's the full-time replacement as Leroy Harris went down with a knee injury, placed on IR this week. Backs and receivers, you've already seen Chris Johnson slowly and steadily trying to get back to his form of 2009, that remarkable season of better than 2,000 rush yards as they face a 3rd and 4. Locker again on the run. They complete. That's Nate Washington right at the 20. They pick up 5 yards and a Tennessee first down.
Well, we've seen it around the league where a young quarterback will lean on a veteran receiver. Indianapolis with Reggie Wayne and Andrew Luck, and here Nate Washington helping out Jake Locker. An old receiver is just so comfortable for a young quarterback. They just think like a quarterback does. So when the quarterback wants to throw it, they're throwing it to a guy who has a quarterback's frame of mind and knows where the quarterback wants him to throw it. It just makes it so easy for a QB when a veteran guy knows where he's supposed to be and is always there.
Sets up a 1st and 10 from the 20. Locker putting some air under it. Near side is incomplete. Intended for Darius Raynaud. Chris Clemens on the coverage. The safety able to break it up.
Well, this is an underthrow by Locker. You see, if he would have led him out, that would have been a big, big play. As you see there, very late, Chris Clemens, the safety, coming over to try and help out the linebacker, Misi. And he was going to get there way late. That had all the makings of an enormous play for Tennessee, and Locker underthrew it.
Cole Misi also on the coverage. Misi today playing with a calf strain that he hurt last Sunday against the Colts. Incompletion makes it 2nd and 10 from the 20. Incomplete. Pass intended for Quinn Johnson, the fullback. Carlos Dansby on the coverage. Starters up front for Joe Philbin's defense. Cameron Wake, Pro Bowl season back in 2010, was the AFC's Defensive Player of the Month in October. He's had a sack in 5 straight games. Carlos Dansby headlines the linebackers. Miami's leading tackler with 63 entering this one today. And the secondary torched by Andrew Luck last Sunday. Nolan Carroll stepping in for the injured Richard Marshall, who was placed on IR this week.
Now you say Cameron Wake has had a sack in the last 5 games. He had 0 in the first 3 weeks. He's got 8.5 sacks in the last 5 games.
Here's Locker on 3rd and 10. Under pressure, and they get to him. Jimmy Wilson got there first from the Dolphins secondary.
Yeah, he came from the outside off the slot receiver, and there's nobody to block him. They send one more guy than the Tennessee Titans can block. He's going to come from way out here and get there. He's lined up man-to-man on the slot receiver. Locker thinks he's in coverage. He's not. And he comes in untouched on Locker and gets there fast enough to make the sack.
Here's Brett Karn, had a rough day last Sunday, had a punt blocked for the first time in his career. Marcus Thigpen watches it take a Titans bounce, out of bounds.
That's a poor effort by Thigpen. You got to field that punt. The wind is moving it around, but that's huge in field position.
Jimmy Wilson celebrates the sack. That was a 71-yard punt. Timeout. Early stages first quarter, no score between the Dolphins and the Titans. Week 10 Miami 4-4, trying to get back on track. Their 3-game losing streak snapped at the Colts last Sunday. This is 1st and 10. Tannehill feels the pocket collapse, throws off his back foot. It's caught, but out of bounds. It's Jabbar Gaffney on the reception, so it will be 2nd and 10.
Tannehill doing a nice job. I mean, he took a shot at it. It ended up being uncatchable, but, you know, Gaffney is a guy. He's only been a Dolphin since October 28th, so he's starting to work into the lineup and doing some things. But this is, it's a way that one more weapon for Tannehill to use.
Go!
This is Gaffney's just his 5th game with Miami. Bush on 2nd and 10 going nowhere. They dump him for a loss. And so far that front 4 for Tennessee able to hold after a nightmare game last Sunday against Chicago.
Yeah, we spoke to Mike Munchak and we asked him, you know, he says, well, there's nothing you can, he agreed. I mean, they really stunk the joint up in Nashville. He said the players knew it, the coaches knew it. It's one of those games that got out of hand early. At one point, 31-2 in favor of Chicago. 28-2. Chicago had 40 yards of offense, and they were still that far away.
3rd and long on a draw play. Here's Bush finding some open real estate. He's right at the marker. The football comes out late, and they say Tennessee has it.
Well, that's what happened to Tennessee last week. They'd make a good play, and the Chicago defense would make an even bigger one. Today, Reggie Bush breaks off a big gain, and Tennessee makes the big play to finish it off, forcing the fumble.
Jason McCourty, the man who made the tackle and then jarred it loose on the same play. What a play.
And it looked like it was out. Bush was just above the ground when the ball pulled loose by McCourty. Yeah, that's a good fumble. That's a good call by the official right on top of it, and that seems to me a good call. The ball's loose before his behind sits down on the grass, and the Titans are all over it. After you've had a game where you've had 6 turnovers, your defense really wakes up to the fact that that was the difference. This Miami team, Joe Philbin told us, listen, the turnover margin has been just as accurate in our win-loss record as the score has. When we lose the turnover battle, we lose the game.
A great looks at it from our CBS crew here. Jason McCourty, the 4th-year man from Rutgers, able to jar it loose. And now Jake Locker in Tennessee in business, 1st and 10 from inside the Dolphins 30. There's Johnson, off the gut, cuts it back, so dangerous in the open field. Inside the 10, Clemens on the tackle, but Johnson burns him for 21 yards.
Yeah, this is a balanced formation. They've got 2 wing backs. The defense doesn't know where the strength of the formation is. They come right towards the camera. Cameron Wake of the Dolphins told us you really have to be so disciplined against Chris Johnson and fight against over-pursuing. He's so fast, the defense thinks they have to run really hard to get there to cut him off. But in essence, they over-pursue and allow him space to go to the other side.
This time they fake the draw play. Locker pump fakes, end zone incomplete. And that's what you want to see from your quarterback, Steve. Not forcing anything, certainly not at this juncture of the field. It'll be 2nd and goal.
Absolutely. I mean, that was well defended by the Dolphins. Kendall Wright was in the back of the end zone. He actually fell down trying to break back to the pylon, and that's who Locker was looking for. And once he fell down, he couldn't get back in the play, and it was too late. Locker had to throw it away, but he was looking for Kendall Wright right at the pylon of the end zone. Couldn't find him.
Johnson lines up in the backfield, offset eye to the right. This is 2nd and goal. Johnson buried in the backfield. Lost the helmet on the play. Cole Meese on a hard collision for the Dolphins. And it will be 3rd and goal.
Well, we spoke about it in the open. This Dolphin defense is really tough to score on when you get down close. They swarmed all over Chris Johnson. He had nowhere to run. They had just gotten burned on a cutback to get them inside the 10-yard line. They were not going to let it happen again. Chris Johnson started to turn up the field and cut back, and it was a Dolphin team meeting.
Locker from the gun on 3rd and goal from the 10. Locker end zone, it's caught, touchdown! It's the rookie Kendall Wright from 10 yards out as Tennessee capitalizes on the Bush fumble.
Well, Kendall Wright is as you said, it's in his first year. He leads the NFL in rookie receptions, and twice out of 3 plays down close, Tennessee is calling his number. Once he fell down, this one lined up way wide at the top of your screen, almost to the sideline, comes on a short crossing route, catches it, and carries the defender into the end zone. Great play by a young receiver. Tough physical play right at the goal line.
Well, Steve mentioned right at the top, Wright leading all NFL rookie receivers with 42 receptions entering the day. And this is exactly the kind of start Mike Munchak was hoping for after the debacle at home last Sunday. 7-0 Titans. Oh, as part of the NFL Salute to Service, the Dolphins women's organization organized a trip for the children of military personnel. A group of students from Air Base Elementary set sail with Bluefoot Pirate Adventures. The Bluefoot is Coast Guard certified and is equipped with 12 real water cannons. And we salute all of our military, past and present, Veterans Day weekend around the NFL as they sit in and enjoy this one. Beautiful temperatures, beautiful weather here on the field and in the stands. We certainly salute you as we take a look at the Tennessee scoring drive. Kendall Wright, the rookie, on the catch and run, 10 yards. And Tennessee capitalizes, Steve, on the Reggie Bush fumble.
Yeah, more and more, Kendall Wright is becoming an integral part of this offense. Sometimes it takes a long time for a rookie to find himself. Not so there in Tennessee with that guy. They picked the right guy, taking advantage of the fumble by Reggie Bush. And, you know, he wants to make up for that. Both these clubs have been burned by their own turnovers.
The Titans coughed it up 5 times against the Bears last Sunday as Locker throws his 5th touchdown pass of the season. Big Pen on the fair catch, and Jake Locker welcoming himself back into the fold. 7-0 Tennessee in front. Beautiful sunny skies here in Miami. 7-0 Tennessee. As Ryan Tannehill and company back onto the field, 1st and 10 from their own 20. Reggie Bush fumbling on their last drive to set up the Tennessee touchdown. Devon Best interfered with, say the officials. Cody Sensabaugh among the men in coverage on the play, the rookie out of Clemson. There's our referee, Walt Anderson.
Pass interference, number 24, defense, 1st down.
Yeah, no question. He wasn't playing the football.
Anderson stepping in today for Scott Green, who was supposed to be our lead referee. Green's father passing away. Our thoughts and prayers with him and his family. So 1st and 10 after the penalty. They spot it from just inside the 40. Tannehill under duress will complete the pass, but Colin McCarthy right there for the stop. Let's get an update as we head to New York and James Brown.
The ex-basketball player Antonio Gates on this.
You know what? This game is going to be a shootout all day, up and down the field. Phillip Rivers, 13 yards to Antonio Gates, 14-7, San Diego in Tampa.
I'd say he made the adjustment from the round ball game very nicely, huh, Dan?
Yeah, I'd say.
All right, Spiro and Steve.
Guys, thanks. Miami on 2nd and 15, Steve, just trying to get some kind of forward movement with this offense. Another penalty marker is down.
Yeah, Miami is playing a team that is much different than the one they saw on film.
Number 80, offense, 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
Yeah, as Anthony Fasano gets called for that hold, this Tennessee defense and the entire team was embarrassed a week ago. And when you put a professional team in that situation, things are going to change the next week no matter what. And that is what the Miami Dolphins are facing now. They get a break because they get to play these Tennessee Titans at home. But make no mistake, the Titans are inspired today to put a better showing on the field than they did a week ago.
2nd and 25 after the penalty. Tannehill put it right between the numbers for Best, and he dropped it. Let's head back to New York and get an update on a busy day around the NFL.
Saints marching.
And you love, if you're a quarterback, Drew Brees got to love this. Chris Ivory, watch this run. Cuts outside, breaks the tackle, cuts back inside, 56 yards. He goes for a touchdown, 10-7 Atlanta.
Hey, Spiro, Steve ran that fast as well back in his day.
When I was 8.
The memories. NFC South standings.
Yeah, downhill. I ran that
Too
fast.
modest, brother. 3rd and 25. This is Tannehill again. That's to throw off his back foot that complete. It's Daniel Thomas, the second-year back out of Kansas State. Nowhere near the first down marker needed to get out to the 49 as the Dolphins will punt. And a late marker is thrown.
Holding, number 77, offense. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
Well, Jake Long getting called on that. The left tackle had a bad day. Took some heat for it this past week. But the Dolphins, facing an inspired Tennessee team who was embarrassed a week ago, they're not helping themselves. Tennessee may be playing pretty good, but the Dolphins, they're dropping passes, taking a lot of penalties, fumbling the football. This is a very slow start for the home team.
Well, Jake Long, all of last season, just to put this into perspective, Steve, had 1 holding penalty the entire year. That's his 2nd in the last 2 weeks. Had a hold and a false start last Sunday against the Bears. So Fields on to punt, having a career year for Miami. Another marker is thrown. This one takes a bounce just inside the 24-yard line. And the Dolphins will down it there. A 43-yard punt. Walt Anderson will have a conversation here.
And with that punt, you could see when the Titans punted and now the Dolphins punted, the wind is going very hard left to right on your television screen. That punt got nowhere. He hit a line drive out of there and couldn't get anything on it. And on the other side, the punt went the length of the field. Brett Kern hit 171 yards.
Number 14 of the kicking team went out of bounds on his own. That's a 5-yard penalty. We will enforce that from the previous spot, and we will replay 4th down.
And they're going to re-kick it, and that's an option that Tennessee, I think, could have taken the football and declined the penalty. They decided to let them punt it again from 5 yards further back, hoping for better field position. And with the wind in their favor, I think it's a good call by Mike Munchak.
So they'll redo it again. Fields back on the field. The 60-year punter leads the NFL with a gross punt average of better than 51 yards per punt.
Well, it's 4th and 20, and that'll let you know how things are going offensively for the Dolphins in the early going. 4th and 20.
It's a low kick. Now watch it take a bounce inside the 35-yard line. A punt of just 36 yards, uncharacteristic of Fields. Tennessee in front of Miami by 7. Well, the penalty yards, just as much of the story of the offense so far that we've seen from both teams. 7-0 Tennessee. A Reggie Bush fumble has been the difference. Locker kind of got his feet tangled up. What a recovery on the play. Locker's still going inside Miami territory. Incredible recovery. Sean Smith finally makes the stop as Locker runs for 20.
Well, Jake Locker makes chicken salad right here. This looks like an atrocity for Tennessee, and he gets up and decides right away he's getting what he can get, and he almost breaks it for an even bigger play. You see there, I mean, right at that point, this play looked like it was going to be a debacle, and Locker, with the athleticism, makes an enormous play out of it. Wow.
It's been the strength of his game. A quarterback who's mobile and can get out and run. Boy, was it on full display on that play. Here's Johnson on 1st and 10, gets inside the Dolphins 40 for a pickup of 6. Get the latest news, analysis, and predictions from Pat Kerwin, Pete Prisco, and other CBS Sports experts. Watch Pro Football 360 live weekdays 3 Eastern or on demand at cbssports.com/profootball360.
You know, you think about that play where Locker was down. He's the only one at that point of the Tennessee Titans who knew that play was going nowhere. So he got up and just knew that because of the timing being all messed up because of his fall down, he just had to take what he could get. Great decision and great execution.
2nd and 4. This is Johnson. Trying to find the seams in that Dolphins defense. Lunges forward for a couple. Tackle made by Cameron Wake. As they run behind David Stewart on the right side of that offensive front. There's Cameron Wake. Had a chance to catch up with him this week. The AFC's Defensive Player of the Month in October. What a run he's been on, Steve, after you mentioned a quiet start.
Yeah, he is one of those guys that, you look at him here and he looks like he's a can't-miss guy. Look at that. Since 2009, he's second in the National Football League in sacks. He is a load and can really play. And there were people when he was young told him, there's no way you'll ever make it. Didn't start playing football till he was 17 years old. Some of these guys start playing when they're 5. But this guy has made it on his own, gave it every chance, and is really considering to be a great defensive player.
Critical 3rd and 2 play for Jake Locker in this Tennessee offense.
This is where they need all these teams with young quarterbacks. This is the kind of play that make them into veteran quarterbacks.
Locker on 3rd and 2 goes sideline. Quick bubbled it. And Kendall Wright nearly made an incredible play. Incomplete, and it will be 4th and short.
Mike Munchak motioning the offense to stay on the field. It's a good call. They're kind of in no man's land. They could punt it, but they wouldn't gain all that much. Kenny Britt's got to pull this in. And he almost gets bailed out by Kendall Wright, who comes in to try and clean up on the catch. And you'd think, look at that. That's amazing that he couldn't pick that up. He looks like he pinched it. Oh, man.
4th and 2 as Munchak will roll the dice. Locker eludes the second, has the first down. Second play that Locker makes with his feet. 5 yards and a Titans first down.
Well, we spoke to him yesterday and he said, I'll earn respect the more plays that I make. And he said he got a new perspective watching Matt Hasselbeck and watching Andrew Luck last week in the Colts victory over Miami. And he said, along with help from Matt Hasselbeck, this is a guy that really knows that he's got to take it on himself once in a while and turn 3rd downs and 4th downs into 1st downs.
Hasselbeck starting the last 5 games in Locker's absence. Locker here on 1st and 10 makes the completion on this play. That's Damian Williams, the 3rd-year wideout out of USC. 15 yards and another first down.
And this is just a deep comeback. This is the kind of throw that'll let you know why Ryan Tannehill got drafted. Strong arm, standing tall in the pocket and puts it on a zip line right out to the far side, to the hash marks on the sideline, high and away from the defender. Great accuracy, great velocity.
So Locker has him moving here. 1st and 10 from inside the 20. Johnson trying to find the outside, cuts it back. Johnson inside the 10, and he's in. And what a start for the Titans. Out in front, 13-0.
Well, you can see that Miami fans are sitting there looking at it. They know that the Dolphin defense had them bottled up. What are you going to do? Chris Johnson pushes it all the way outside the numbers and then stops, takes a look around, and he flips a switch and all of a sudden is running faster than anybody on the field, and everybody's got a bad angle. And that right there is the posture that Dolphin defense is doing right now. Are you kidding me?
Well, that looked like 2009 Chris Johnson on that play. Definitely maneuvering through the Miami defense. And how about this start? After giving up 51 points in a blowout to the Bears, the Titans up by 2 touchdowns. Tennessee, 7 plays, 65 yards, and what a run to cap it. Chris Johnson, 17 yards, and it's 14-0 Tennessee. Cameron Wake in Miami trying to get back on the win column today.
Yeah, Miami ran into a very hot young quarterback a week ago in Andrew Luck, and it's like the old Yogi Berra saying, it's deja vu all over again. Jake Locker making a couple of plays on that drive, one on a 4th down conversion, the other on the first time he dropped back on that drive to put the big play on the board and get him into Dolphin territory. Young quarterback keeping the drive alive to let his star running back get to pay dirt.
Locker got the drive moving on that busted play, ran it for 20 yards. And it ends with a 17-yard cutback from Chris Johnson.
The defense is going to pursue hard. They're all going to take angles to get out ahead of Chris Johnson so they can cut him off. Well, they do that, but when they get to the outside of the numbers, there's a lot of space to the backside. Right there, you see Tony McDaniel get caught inside, and he gets 1-2 blocks, and then there's just so much space, and he is so fast, they're not going to get there in time to cut him off from the end zone.
So Ryan Tannehill and the Dolphins will try to answer 1st and 10 from their own 20. Tannehill completes, finds Hartline. Hartline about a yard or two short of the first down. Let's get an update. Denver, Carolina. JB and Dan.
Spiro, a painful highlight for Dan Marino.
Peyton Manning 10-yard touchdown to Brandon Stokely. That ties Dan Marino for second all-time with 420 touchdowns. I don't know what else to say.
Spiro and Steve, he said he was going to do that in the third person. It shouldn't hurt that bad. Spiro and Steve.
Listen, there's going to be guys with grandkids that are still breaking Dan Marino's records.
2nd and 1, Miami looking for a big one to the outside. That's the rookie Lamar Miller. Local kid out of Miami. Start here at the high school level at Miami Killian High. It took him with a 4th-round selection. Injured Tennessee defender on the field. As the final seconds come off the clock here, 9-yard run by Miller. As now the Titans training staff tending to their injured player.
That's McCarthy.
That's Colin McCarthy.
He's had a high ankle sprain. He's been in and out of the lineup, and that is not a good sign.
McCarthy, the former star here with the Miami Hurricanes, his first appearance here as a pro.
I've seen him move his feet, and you see there he's breathing heavily. And now he's starting to stir, and it's hard to say what happened to him. He's really struggled to stay healthy, mostly with an ankle injury that's kept him out of the lineup.
So the trainers continue to take a look at McCarthy. Good sign, moving his extremities here as we'll step aside for a brief timeout. Able to get Colin McCarthy up onto his feet here. He'll walk off on his own power. Boy, that looks a whole lot better than it did a moment ago.
It's all, and I hate to say it like this, but it's almost a relief to see him limp. I don't know, no telling what, but looked like he was almost just so still. Right here. And watch as the play progressive. We'll see what happens down inside. Oh, you see there his toe got caught and rolled to the inside. And that's something he's been struggling with, his right ankle. And you can see it's still taped up more than the left. He's had some extra protection on it, and that's the ankle that was injured right there. You see it's already taped over the top of his shoe. He's been struggling with it all season. And I'll tell you, once you're hurt and then you get hurt again on the same spot, wow, that hurts bad.
McCarthy hurt the ankle initially on opening day. He's been in and out of the lineup. It's forced him to miss 4 games so far this season. What a start for the Titans, 14-0 lead as we reach the end of the first quarter. We'll return to Miami after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. 14-0 Tennessee in front. Certainly a surprising start for many after the way the Titans were handled by the Bears last Sunday. 1st and 10 for Tannehill, nearly picked. Not sure where Tannehill was going with that throw. It'll be 2nd and 10. Alteron Werner nearly had the interception.
Now he's right there. Tannehill leads Gaffney in. And that's a receiver who just hasn't been there enough. Tannehill thinking Gaffney's going to go ahead and come across the face of Werner, and he just stops, hoping the ball's behind him, but it's already in the air. Verner dropped a room service interception.
Right here.
Lamar Miller comes onto the field, lines up next to Tannehill, who will work from the gun on 2nd and 10. Tannehill throws a strike to Hartline. Tackle made by McCourty after a pickup of 9. In honor of Veterans Day, for every point scored during the NFL's Salute to Service games, the league will donate $100 to each of its nonprofit partners, the Pat Tillman Foundation, USO, and Wounded Warrior Project. To join the salute, learn more, visit NFL.com/salute. And we salute our armed forces past and present. Veterans Day weekend around the NFL. This will be a 3rd and 1 from just outside the 46. It's picked off the incompletion. And look who it is. Colin McCarthy on that gimping ankle. Lunges end zone. Touchdown.
It looked like Akeem Ayers got a tip on that pass out of the backfield, and it went right into the breadbasket of Colin McCarthy, who's back into the game at inside linebacker after having been helped up. He's right here making the defensive calls in the front 7. It's going to get tipped right there by Ayers. And it couldn't have been worse for the Dolphins. After dropping a room service interception on the first play from Alteron Verner, McCarthy gets one batted right into his breadbasket with nothing but green grass in front of him.
So McCarthy, the former Miami Hurricane star, back in his old stomping grounds today. Left the game just minutes ago with the ankle tweak and a pick 6. 49-yard interception return, and it's 21-0 Tennessee. This has been a shocking turnaround from what we saw from Mike Munchak's team last Sunday. Gave up 31 in the first half to the Bears, and they're up 21-0 here early in the second quarter.
And Mike Munchak and Joe Philbin, both head coaches, will tell you, turnovers. 2 turnovers for the Dolphins led to 14 points, one on a pick 6, the other on a short field. And the Titans go up 21-0.
Ryan Tannehill, meantime, his first interception in 4+ games, 107 attempts.
Far be it from me to stick up for quarterbacks, but when a guy throws it to the right guy who was open, he was trying to fit it into Charles Clay. He was open, but when a guy tips the football, I mean, that's a coin flip as to whether it was a bad throw or whatever. I think the quarterback should get a break on that.
Rob Baronis boots it through the end zone. Thigpen watches it sail through. It was Akeem Ayers who made the deflection, and then McCarthy punched it in from 49 yards.
Well, Akeem Ayers is on coverage at Anthony Fasano, so if Anthony Fasano releases, he's got him. So he doesn't rush the passer just in case. That's why he's in the throwing lane. Anthony Fasano held in to protect the guy covering him man-to-man. Akeem Ayers ends up right in front of him in the throwing lane, and because they had to keep extra protectors in, the Dolphins had an extra guy there to bat that pass, and Akeem Ayers right into the breadbasket of McCarthy.
So Miami living through a similar nightmare to the one that the Titans were experiencing last Sunday. This is a Miami team that's still in the thick of the race in the AFC East. They're right there, just a game back of the Patriots. This is a terrible start.
Absolutely. Miami is a good football team. They're 3 plays away from being 7-1. They had room service interceptions they dropped a week ago. They had a Hail Mary pass from Andrew Luck that was caught between 2 defenders. I mean, this is a team that has had a lot of opportunities and just has come up short time and again.
Tannehill on 2nd and 9 again to Hartline, their #1 receiver on the season. Came in with 41 catches, that one for 8 yards. Appears to be about a yard or 2 short. There was Bush. The fumble earlier to set up the Chris Johnson touchdown.
And that was the thing that started the downhill slide. The Dolphins, though, I mean, they've got to kind of settle down, start running their offense. A lot of football left in this game. No reason to do something different than who you are if you're the Dolphins. Just play better.
We've seen Thomas for Bush since the Bush fumble. This is 3rd and 1. Tannehill going in zone. He has Gaffney for the first down. pickup of 10 yards. That was Varner on the coverage.
Well, there's no question Gaffney is becoming a bigger part of this offense. I mean, as we mentioned, only a member of the team since late October, getting just enough work to make that defense play honest.
Gaffney, a surprise cut by the Patriots before the season. Excellent hookup by Tannehill and Hartline, and they say that he was inbounds. McCourty was there. 13 yards and another Miami first down.
Well, you're right. McCourty was there. Hartline pulls it in. Great throw, accurately on the sideline. Hartline, toe touch and a toe drag, and McCourty well defended. I mean, it's a great throw and a great catch. Hard to criticize McCourty on that.
Hardline, 5 catches, 42 yards so far. Over the middle, they go to the tight end, Fasano.
Yeah, this drive, you know why Ryan Tannehill has got the Dolphins fans feeling a great sense of hope. He's spreading the football all over, making quick, hard, decisive decisions and hard throws, and moving this team really well. I mean, this is why there's a bright future here in Miami.
They've been looking for their long-term quarterback here since 1999. Inside the 30, Tennessee trying to jar it loose. That's Charles Clay, the tight end. And finally, Miami getting the chains moving now. Huge pickup as we head back to New York and get an update. James Brown and Dan Marino.
Brees trying single-handedly.
Yes, to bring his team back. Drew Brees to Jimmy Graham, extending his own record of 52 straight games with a touchdown, 14-10, New Orleans up.
Steve Tasker, you were right about Dan Marino. He had 3,000 records. They will be trying to break him for the next 30 years. Spiro and Steve.
There'll never be another Dan Marino. That's a double-edged sword, I think. Good.
Miami, here's Thomas up the gut. Exactly the kind of drive they were hoping for. Michael Griffin with the touchdown-saving tackle. A penalty marker is down. That's way back at the line of scrimmage.
I think this might be on Richie Incognito. Got mixed up with Colin McCarthy.
Thomas ran it for 14 yards. Walt Anderson conversing with his officials.
And the Dolphins are walking backwards. Interesting on this drive, the Dolphins have gone a little bit of no huddle. And it really picked up the pace, and they're having some progress. They're looking as good as they have all day. I think they'll stay with it. Although for a moment it looked like Tannehill lost the headset. The radio went out, and that took the air out of their balloon for a moment.
There are fouls by both teams. Offsides, number 95, defense. After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 68, offense. By rule, the 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the previous spot. It'll be first down, Miami.
Well, Richie Incognito, who in some polls was voted the
second dirtiest behind Ndamukong Suh.
Right. And it's, I don't know what it says, but it seems like when you hear about what he says, it's almost like it's a badge of honor for him. Yeah. He has no problem with it. He is a tough, hard-nosed football player and has found a home here in Miami. I mean, he struggles with Buffalo, he's with St. Louis, but he's a player with some ability, if not an offensive lineman's calm mentality that you usually see. This guy's a fighter.
Incognito, that was great news for him. He sent out a tweet thanking his parents for all they've done in building a tough football player, as he put it. This is 1st and 25 after the penalty. Incomplete pass, first incompletion for Tannehill on the drive. He's now 5 of 6. Pressure by Senderick Marks up the gut.
Yeah, it was a good decision by Tannehill, and right when he needed to step up and throw it, you saw it. Senderick Marks showed up, and he couldn't do it, so he had to retreat. And by that time, there was more pressure up the field, and he just had it. It was the right decision to get rid of that football, so Morgan or Marks didn't get the sack.
2nd and 25 over the middle. It's complete to Bess. Bess has been so good for this team on 3rd downs. Goes for 11 there. Tackle made by McCarthy.
And that's the smart play by Tannehill and the Dolphins. Good play call. You're not trying to get all of the 3rd or 2nd and enormously long in one play, but you do want to get about half of it, which is what Devon Bess did right there.
We should point out Dan Carpenter was hitting him from 60 yards during the pregame warm-ups today. And this is 3rd and 14 from the 32. Little screen pass for Thomas. They'll drag him down from the back. Thomas needing to get to inside the 19. He's a couple of yards short. Akeem Ayers among
They're
the
thinking about
tacklers.
it. They're thinking about it. Yeah, they're going to go for 3. Joe Philbin was thinking about maybe going for it on 4th, but it's 4th and about 4 yards, and that's a big ask for an offense that hasn't had much success up until this drive. They did almost overcome a 2nd and 25, but to get a 4th and 4 when you really, really want to get some points out of this drive, I think it's the right move to take the field goal.
This will be Carpenter from 40. Told you about the wind gust. The play clock expires, it looked like, before the snap. Joe Philbin arguing that a timeout was taken before the play clock.
I don't see a flag. Yep, they got
Now
the
they will
timeout.
give him the timeout, so they'll pick up the penalty marker.
George timeout. Miami. 30-second timeout.
Well, unfortunately, an offensive lineman for the Dolphins was late getting out there, which is why they got caught, and it was Jake Long.
Well, Tuesday on CBS, it's a crime so big, the law and the mob will join forces. A Candace episode of TV's #1 news show, Vegas, Tuesday, only CBS.
It's been a tough couple of weeks for Jake Long, but I'll tell you, if Miami wants to get rid of Jake Long, there's 31 teams that'll stand in line to put him on their squad. And no matter tough couple of weeks or not, that guy can play.
Pro Bowler in each of his first 4 years in the NFL. So Carpenter on for the 40-yard field goal. Miami finally able to get some points on the board in what has been a nightmare first half so far here at Sun Life Stadium. 21-3 Tennessee. Miami on a 40-yard field goal from Dan Carpenter on the board finally, but down 21-3 here. Ryan Tannehill 7 of 8, 72 yards on that scoring drive. Early stages, second quarter here at Sun Life Stadium. And so far the story has been 2 Miami turnovers.
They start with Reggie Bush. Great play by Mike Griffin, who gets it out. And then that led to that touchdown by Kendall Wright. Then Akeem Ayers batting the pass out of the air. Turns into a pick 6 for McCarthy. 14 points on the board for Tennessee.
And we have yet to see Reggie Bush since that fumble. As Jake Locker back onto the field, 1st and 10 from the 20. Chris Johnson loses his footing on the cutback play as Burnett and Stevens pushing each other after the play. Let's go back to New York and an update with JB and Dan.
Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez to be Hall of Fame.
Yes, Matt Ryan for Tony Gonzalez, 2-yard touchdown. That's his 100th touchdown of his career. The first tight end to reach that number, 17-14 Atlanta.
Spiro and Steve.
One of the underrated rivalries in the NFL, Atlanta and the Saints in New Orleans. Here's Locker again off his back foot. Johnson making a miss out close to the 30. Now, a lot of talk, Steve, about CJ not being able to hit the home runs, but boy, has he looked dangerous so far today.
Oh, that he has, and if Olivier Vernon doesn't get back to him and make that, he hustles back after this completion and makes this tackle. If he doesn't do this, this is another touchdown right there. If he doesn't make that, Vernon, that's going to be another touchdown.
Injured Tennessee Titan is Fernando Velasco, their center. As they tend to the 30-year veteran, will take a timeout. Third and 1 after the injury timeout. Locker trying to make it happen with his legs, and he does it again. Miami just unable to corral Locker so far. Koamisi finally brings him down, but it's a Tennessee first down.
Well, Tennessee has a number of things where they design the play to move him out of the pocket. This is one of them. It's just a waggle where he just takes it and rolls out to the right and looks down the field. It spreads the defense out, one plant, one cut, and is just trying to get 1 or 2 yards. And you can see how much space is out there. That's Starks and Wake out there trying to corral him, and it's just too much space.
The Locker will burn a timeout here. Some confusion pre-snap. 21-3, Tennessee in front. 21-3, Tennessee in front. 7:18 to play. 1st and 10 after the timeout. Locker from the gun as they work from the 32. That one's sailing a little bit too high, getting out away from Kendall Wright. As Tennessee will have it 2nd and 10. Coming up, the Verizon halftime report from New York. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher with all the latest scores and highlights. It's all coming up on the Verizon halftime report minutes from now. Spiro Ditas, Steve Tasker, our entire CBS crew from MetLife Stadium, actually Sun Life Stadium, beg your pardon, here in Miami. Tennessee fans wondering what to expect from this team after the 51-20 drubbing at the hands of the Bears last Sunday. But so far, so good. Jake Locker, Steve, making his return after being out 6 weeks. They jump out to a 21-0 lead, and here they are, up 18 points.
And this is a guy that had problems and still does with a shoulder, his left shoulder there, as it dislocates on it. And we asked him, he said, yeah, I'm going to have to get it fixed in the off-season, but it's not going to get any better waiting on it to heal, so it's time for me to get back in. The doctor's cleared him. He's wearing a special brace that will allow him some more movement. He was actually wearing a brace in week 1 or week 4 when he got it hurt. This is a brace he likes better because it's less restrictive, but obviously he's playing well.
Miami has been very good defensively on 3rd down. They weren't last week. This is 3rd and 8. Can they finally get to Locker? Extends to the 1st down marker. This will depend on the spot. Marker thrown. Rashad Jones forced him out.
Holding, number 76, offense. 10-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That's Dave Stewart, the right tackle. And it went right out around him towards the sideline, and it came in very late as Locker releases to that side. You see there, he just grabs Cameron Wake's collar. That's a penalty even on a tackle, let alone on attacking with a guy with the ball, let alone on a guy trying to block somebody. He just grabbed the horse collar and wouldn't let Cameron Wake go after Locker. Easy call.
So after the penalty, 3rd and 18. They spotted at the 25. Nowhere for Locker to throw, just kind of threw it away sidearm. Yeah. Pressure from Cameron Wake, and Tennessee will punt.
Trying to develop a screen pass to Chris Johnson. It's a safe thing when you're up 21-3 and you get a 3rd down and 15. Punting it away is not the worst thing. They want to make a nice, easy completion to Chris Johnson. Maybe they get a home run if he breaks a tackle or if it develops the way they wanted to, but Miami was all over it. Jake Locker did the exact right thing. Throw it in the dirt and just punt it.
Brett Kern on the punt. Marcus Thigpen standing and backpedaling. He'll field from his own 24. Thigpen breaks one tackle up the sideline, forced out of bounds. Late marker thrown on the Tennessee side of the field. 50-yard punt, 17 yards on the return.
This might have been it might have been a crackback block.
Here in the return, blocking the back, number 27, receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 1st down, timeout.
Jimmy Wilson on the penalty will get a timeout. Dolphins offense onto the field as we take a look at this week's task force.
Well, one of the reasons Ryan Tannehill has been able to develop him someplace so solidly is the concepts they're using. A little play action gives him plenty of time and protection to throw the football on rhythm, and there's not much reading of the defense. Just hit the guy who's going deep. Other plays like that have allowed him to cut down on his turnovers and really help this team play solid, consistent football.
Tannehill, the 8th overall pick in the NFL draft. Lamar Miller. So, Steve, we still have not seen Reggie Bush since the fumble back in the first quarter.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any question that's a message. Joe Philbin has told his team and illustrated to them that when they lose the turnover battle, they lose games, and turnovers aren't going to be tolerated.
This is 2nd and 10. Tannehill lost the football. It's picked up by the center, Mike Pouncey. So that was ruled a fumble.
No, now they changed it. Now it's an incomplete.
Coming forward and the ball came loose. Incomplete pass. 3rd down.
He may have pulled it back, but the call on the field is an incompletion. Derek Morgan and Cameron Rimley were both there.
Yeah, no question. He wanted to change his mind and not throw that, and then the ball came loose after that. But that's, I think, a good call. His hand was going forward. The ball came out, and they called the play dead.
Tannehill from the gun on 3rd and 10. This is Miller. Needed to get to the 40s, about 3 yards short. After a pickup of 7, maybe 8. Tackle made by the linebackers Zach Brown and Alteron Werner.
Yeah, Tennessee fans will notice this is a very different defensive unit that's playing out there this week than last, even though it's the same 11 guys. Covering up everything. No place for Tannehill to throw the football down the field, doing a nice job on 3rd down, giving up a 3rd and long, giving up a short pass and making the tackle, and bringing the punt return team on the field.
Can't say enough about what we've seen from this Tennessee defense, a defense that has been historically bad so far for long stretches this season. Raynard on the punt return from inside his own 10. Nearly yanked back to the ground. He's still going. Out past the 30. Excellent return by Darius Raynard. 54-yard punt and 22 yards on the return. Tomorrow, 2 broke girls find the sweetest thing possible in a candy store on a new episode. Tomorrow, only CBS.
That was a great punt return by Raynard. Well blocked up front, got him to the sideline, and he broke 1 tackle and got an extra 10 yards out of it. Tremendous job on special teams.
Yeah, come on. Let's go.
21-3 Titans. This is 1st and 10. Locker's pass nearly picked. Excellent play by the defender. That was Carlos Dansby on the coverage.
Dansby, a guy who's really a tackling machine. Ended last year with over 100 tackles, on pace for 120 this year, and then in coverage, wow. That was great job undercutting the route by Cook to almost pull that in. I mean, offensive players used to tease defensive guys. The reason they're over there is because they cannot catch. But I'll tell you what, Dansby, great coverage there for a guy who's a tackler.
Dansby, Miami's leading tackler, 63 coming into today. Keep it on the ground on 2nd and 10.
It's also a great job by the defensive coordinator, Kevin Coyle of the Dolphins. You'd think that a guy like Dansby would be, in cover, in pass rush, trying to get to the football. Today, look at that. For the season, they're giving up 84 yards a game, and today they've already given up 85. They're now trying to change things up to confuse Jake Locker in the backfield.
Huge 3rd and 7 plays. We come up on 3 minutes left before halftime. Locker throws incomplete. And we've seen a couple of drops on both sides. That's the tight end, Jared Cook. Tennessee's 2nd leading receiver. And the Titans will punt.
That's just a flat drop. And that's the kind of thing that the Titans did last week. They just couldn't make any plays. Right here, he's just going to come out, get a little piece of the defender, nice stick move inside, and he's thinking about making it into a big play.
Steve, you wonder if the sun is a factor. I mean, we've seen guys just flat out drop some passes.
I don't know. That was a low ball. I mean, he was looking back into the stands, not up into the sky for that one.
Brett Kern with the punt. Fielded inside the 15-yard line. This is Thigpen. Another marker flies.
And that's been another problem for Miami, penalties.
50-yard punt by Kern, 14 on the return from Thigpen.
During the kick, illegal block in the back, number 23, receiving team. Half the distance to the goal from the end of the kick. First down.
Newly acquired Brian McCann for the Dolphins.
McCann signed this week as Dolphins continue to deal with some injuries in the secondary. Richard Marshall placed on IR this week. Out since their 4th game of the season with a back injury. So Miami whistled for 4 penalties today, totaling 40 yards. And right now down 21-3 with under 3 minutes remaining. So Reggie Bush still on the sideline. Daniel Thomas out past the 10.
That was a good hard run up off the left side of the offensive line. And I think they're doing exactly what they need to do with almost 3 minutes. They're going to let Ryan Tannehill run this football. If they get a shot, get out of the shadow of their own end zone, then they can start taking some shots down the field. But when you're inside your 10-yard line, you're certainly not going to have him drop back when you're trailing by 18 points. If they get out here and have some success here, then as the half winds down, they'll go for it.
Miami with 1 timeout left. They'll get the 2-minute warning here in a couple of seconds. 2nd and 4 from the 14.
48! Go, go!
There's Thomas again. There's 1, maybe 2. Fans don't like it, as Joe Philbin will keep it conservative here as we reach the 2-minute warning in Miami. Surprising first half so far. Reggie Bush, with a critical fumble in the first quarter, hasn't been on the field since. A spectator here. Dolphins 1-7 on 3rd downs. This is 3rd and 1. Tannehill all day to throw, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Akeem Ayers. 2nd pick for Tannehill today.
Well, Akeem Ayers was in a hand fight with Fasano, and it was a 50-50 football that Ayers came up with. He just out-battled Fasano for the ball. Watch as they come off. We saw it earlier, the 2 of them. Ayers, nice release by Fasano. He's gotten loose. He little hookup, and Ayers is right in front of him. Turns around, and yeah, Ayers was all over Fasano, no question. They were standing there together, and as Ayers turned around, if he's playing the football, which he was when it was thrown, that's perfectly legal. That's not interference. But they were tied up before that ball was thrown.
Ayers had the tip on the McCarthy pick 6 earlier and comes up with the INT there, and Miami's nightmare first half continues.
Fasano just running the button hook, turns around, and Ayers is between him and the quarterback, tries to fit it in with a big hard throw, and Fasano can't come up with it. In his attempt to catch it, Fasano kind of pushed it into the breadbasket of Ayers, and he grabbed it.
2nd and 2, plenty of time for Tennessee. They got 2 timeouts left. Johnson trying to cut it back. He's buried in the backfield. Chris Clemens leading the charge for Miami.
They're giving him forward progress at the 19, which is charitable because he was trying to fight for yards all the way back at the 22-yard line when the play was blown dead. Nevertheless, it'll bring up a 3rd and about 6 for Tennessee, and I think they've been a little bit conservative on this, and you look at, that's just, you're not going to win when you're minus on the turnovers.
3rd and 6 after the loss of 3 by Johnson. Whistles before the snap, as Miami will take a timeout. That'll be their final timeout. Titans still with 2 left here, 36 seconds remaining. Well within field goal range. Reminder coming up, the Verizon Halftime Report. We'll send you to New York. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher with all the latest scores and highlights. It's all coming up next on the Verizon Halftime Report.
Chris Palmer, offensive coordinator of the Titans, trying to come up with something to pick up a 3rd and 6. How enormous would it be to tack another 6 points onto this first half barrage they put on? We spoke to head coach Mike Munchak. He says, we just want to play a game like we're capable of. No question they fell on their face last week at home against Chicago. That game got out of hand. And no question Chicago's a very good football team. But Mike Munchak has confidence in his players and his coach's ability, but they have not put it together yet until this first half.
Dolphins defense desperately needs a hold here. 3rd and 6. They throw end zone, incomplete. So Mike Munchak will send out the kicking team here to try the field goal.
Once again, the Titans move Jake Locker out this time to the left of the formation. Stevens taking the corner route, covered over the top by Clemens, and then Locker just doesn't want to. He just saw a tight throw from Tannehill get picked off. He throws that one where nobody's going to catch it.
Baronis has been money from 40 yards and in. This one from 37. And he is perfect. Akeem Ayers with his first career interception, setting up the field goal, and Mike Munchak's Tennessee Titans dominant so far, out in front by 3 touchdowns. Nobody knows the game quite like a quarterback. Break down all the NFL action on NFL Monday QB tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Well, understandable to see Joe Philbin a little hot under the collar so far. I don't think anyone saw this coming, certainly not after what happened in Nashville last Sunday against Chicago.
Well, it's the one thing you can't predict is turnovers. You can predict an offense playing well or a defense playing well, but you can't predict how many times a team is going to turn it over. Jerry Gray, one of the people in this coaching staff for the Titans that got an earful from owner Bud Adams about taking the whole organization to task about how they played last week, and Jerry Gray putting his defense out there, calling a great game for the Titans on that side of the football. And Chris Palmer with Jake Locker back in at quarterback. Locker won the starting job out of training camp, then was hurt, as we've been talking about. Moving him around, and he's making plays also to make the Tennessee Titans 3 touchdowns up as the first half closes.
Bud Adams, the 89-year-old owner, said that his franchise put forth the worst effort that he could remember in a home game. Said that they were grossly outcoached, grossly outplayed. Actually left that game in the 3rd quarter to fly back home to Houston. But boy, he should challenge his coaches and players every week. What a turnaround so far in this game.
Absolutely, and for me, we spoke to Mike Munchak, and I was years ago was a teammate of Mike Munchak's and a couple of guys on his staff, and he didn't have to say that to those guys. They knew what they were up against. They were as unhappy as anybody else with their performance last week. They were determined to make a difference this week, and the players are the same way. Nobody wants to get embarrassed in the NFL, and this is what happens when a team like Tennessee gets a week to turn it around with that kind of motivation.
The Dolphins booed off the field here by the hometown fans in Miami. That's the end of the first half. Tennessee 24, Miami 3. We'll send you to New York. You're watching the NFL on CBS, home of Super Bowl 47. 24-3 your score at halftime as we welcome you back to the NFL on CBS inside Sun Life Stadium. Spiro Ditas and Steve Tasker with you. So much to talk about in the first half. People left this Titans team, Steve, dead in the water after what happened last Sunday in Nashville. They lose 51-20. What a turnaround. This is unbelievable.
Give them some credit. They came out and really put a firestorm on the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins helped them with penalties and drop passes and the fumbles and turnovers, but the Titans have been all over them. They've played very hard. They've been in the right position. They have not made mistakes. You see here Akeem Ayers keeping his antenna up, just getting in the passing lane. And when you play hard and you play smart, good things happen. That's a tipped pass. It's fortunate, no question. But the Titans turn it into a touchdown. And you look at the statistics, the rushing yards are there. The passing yards are not there for the Titans. Only 31 passing yards, and that turnover, -3 on the turnovers. That's the difference. 17 points off of those turnovers, and Miami can go into their locker room at halftime and just say, you know, if we play better, we're going to be better. But, you know, the Titans, to their credit, have bounced back in an enormous way, which they needed to do after last week. And after a slow start, the Dolphins had trouble turning it back on. The penalties killed them, and the turnovers obviously are the story.
Reggie Bush fumble in the first quarter at around the 8-minute mark was the first big swing. He gave the Titans a short field. Chris Johnson punched it in on his 17-yard touchdown. And then a couple of Ryan Tannehill interceptions, one returned by Colin McCarthy, as you saw, 49 yards for the touchdown. And Akeem Ayers with his first career pick. And that's where we stand, 24-3. And now to make matters worse, the Titans with the football to start the second half. Darius Raynaud up past the 10. Takes on a bevy of tacklers at the 15-yard line. As Jake Locker onto the field, and he has given his team, Steve, a shot in the arm.
Well, and the thing about it is, he's made some good throws, no question, but only 31 yards passing. You see there, these are the plays that have set him apart. Turned a catastrophe into a positive. Converted a short third down right there with his legs. Those are the plays he has made, plus other plays that you won't see in a highlight film, throwaways when there was nothing there to be had that let his team punt it away.
On 1st and 10, Chris Johnson. Johnson 60 yards in the first half. We did mention at the top that Jake Locker, who was out for the last 6 weeks, is wearing a different brace on that shoulder, his left shoulder that he dislocated twice early in the season. This one gives him more multi-directional support, Steve, and so far he's looked awfully comfortable.
Yeah, his shoulder's not going to get better during this season. It's going to be like, you know, luggage that he carries around with him. He's not going to be able to forget about it. But he is able to play. It doesn't bother him. He's pain-free even in practice. So until he has another setback, he's going to be the quarterback.
Second and short. The other thing to keep in mind is that this Miami defense has not allowed a 100-yard rusher in 22 games. Chris Johnson so far at 69 for the day.
And this is a tough Miami team to run the football on, even though they've started to give up some yards in recent weeks. Look at that. This is really impressive. They're first by a long shot. They are really playing run defense extremely well, and yet today, because of turnovers and some things that were out of their control, they're on the wrong end of this game.
Johnson in the backfield. They go to the fullback on 3rd and 1. This is Quinn Johnson, the 4th-year man out of LSU. And Tennessee with a first down run.
Yeah, and that's how you get a first down with your fullback. Watch the tight ball control and the ball handing. Locker takes a reverse pivot out and still gets around and puts it right in the breadbasket of Johnson, and he keeps his feet churning and spins and falls forward for the first.
6'1", 263 pounds. If Quinn Johnson gets his body weight forward, I'm not sure how you bring him down for a loss. Chris Johnson back onto the field. This is 1st and 10 from the 26. Locker over the middle, incomplete. One of the few poor throws he's made today. Sean Smith on the coverage. The intended receiver was Washington.
Now, he doesn't step into this throw, and you can tell there's not much velocity. He kind of throws it off his tiptoes. Nate Washington, that in the NFL is wide open, and that's behind him and short. Locker starts to step into it, and right there, can't step into it.
Incompletion sets up a 2nd and 10. Early stages, second half. Tennessee trying to build on his 24-3 lead. Pass complete to the tight end Stevens. Close to the 35 after a pickup of 8. Will set up his 3rd and short.
And for me, this is a drive that's all about Jake Locker. You got a 3-touchdown lead. You come out of halftime, make some adjustments. Your idea now is to make first downs and wear out the Miami Dolphins. Just take away every scrap of hope that they have just by staying on the football field. Who cares if you score another touchdown? As long as you have the football, they cannot win.
Locker on 3rd and 2. It's caught Kenny Britt, who's had a quiet day, had to drop in the first half. A good opening drive. Kenny Britt, who's had a quiet day, had to drop in the first half. A good opening drive here to the second half, as Tennessee will have it 1st and 10.
Yeah, Kenny Britt, who was such a force last year early in the season, had the knee injury, came back, had to have a second surgery with a bone chip in his knee, then came back. Then after he came back from that, had the other knee get injured. Just, the guy's just had trouble staying healthy over the last 12 months. Hasn't been indicative of his career to this point, but that's a guy they would love to have 100%.
Alert, alert, alert. Green 8. Green 8, go.
Johnson, a long setback on 1st and 10. Cut back out to the 45. We spoke to Kenny Britt yesterday. You know, you rarely will talk to an NFL player, certainly a guy who's been a star, readily admit that there were moments where he kind of second-guessed whether he would ever get back to his old form.
Yeah, it really shook his confidence, particularly, you know, when you get into there and you have to have a second surgery and you've worked so hard to get back. But he confided in us today, you know, he really has worked extremely hard. The strength conditioning coach, Steve Watterson, he gave a lot of credit to. And, you know, Watterson is a guy who's appropriately maniacal in his rehab techniques.
Well, you learned that firsthand, right?
Oh, yeah. Kenny Britt, 225 now.
2nd and 6. This is Johnson moving the pile inside Miami territory.
And this is a little bit of a statement drive by Tennessee. Running the football on a 2nd and 6, getting down to a 3rd and 1 on 2 straight runs. And they are just, you can feel that offensive line, this whole Titan team has just decided they're going to win this football game this half, and they're going to do it by bullying the Miami Dolphins.
3rd and 1.
Green 8. Green 8, go.
From inside the 49. Locker slings it. He's got a man wide open. It's Kenny Britt. Huge pickup on 3rd down. Sean Smith finally with the tackle after a pickup of 28.
Just when you think Jake Locker is going to do things young quarterbacks do, just going to take this, gets a little pressure, he's going to tuck it and run it because he doesn't trust himself. Then he throws a rainbow of a pass to Kenny Britt, who gets lost. See, they think Locker's going to run. Sean Smith takes a couple of steps toward Locker, thinking he's going to have to come up and make the tackle, and Locker double crosses him and throws it to Britt. Great play by Locker, and perfectly timed given what he's done thus far in this game.
First time we've seen Jamie Harper in relief of Chris Johnson. Here he is on 1st and 10. Upended inside the 20. Rashad Jones, the 3rd-year defender out of Georgia, on the stop with a pickup of 5.
That was a nice hard tackle, but you're right, it's a pickup of 5. And Tennessee has come out invigorated, and Miami comes out looking like this game's already over. After not giving up a 100-yard rusher for 22 games, Miami looks determined to do it today.
This is a drive that started back at their own 15-yard line. They've got 10 plays so far. And that time they're going backwards. As Harper, there's a fumble on the play. Still no signal yet.
They called him down by contact.
Jared Odrick, the man who fell on the football. Looks like Harper is hurt.
Harper got twisted around here by Odrick. You see here as he gets rolled right there, and that now the wrist is part of the hand. That to me is a fumble. You see the ball come down and it comes loose as his hand hits the back of his hand and wrist hit the ground, but because he was called down by contact, that's not going to be reviewable.
So a tough break for Miami. 3rd and 10, and now Philbin will throw the challenge flag.
Now this is interesting because if he was called down by contact, it'll be up to the officials. We'll see what happens.
Officials will come over here and explain the situation to Philbin. Steve, I think you're right. I don't think that's a play that you can challenge.
Well, the rule says that if his hand comes down, that should have been a fumble to me.
It's not a reviewable
See, it's not. And that is a squasher for the Miami Dolphins, because to me that's a fumble outright, and that should be going the other way. And Miami cannot catch a break. They just sent out, and the NFL sends out these videos. That exact play was on the officiating video, and
so after the confusion, it's 3rd and 10. Whistles blow again. Well, let's listen to see when the whistle was actually blown on that last play.
I can't hear the whistle in that. It seemed after. Yeah, and this is, yeah, you wants no part of that.
Walt Anderson, our referee today.
It's 3rd down. The play is not reviewable.
Yeah, it's not reviewable. And that was on the video that the league put out. And there's all kinds of points of emphasis, but the league knows that this is a real issue. And to me, that's the exact play that they pointed out in their video this week. It's not reviewable.
Movement pre-snap.
And Michael Roos, left tackle.
Ball start, number 71, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
You know, even so, the Titans got a huge break with that loss on the play. Now they've got a penalty. What looked to be a pretty promising drive is now 3rd and 15 on the 26, and it looked like they were headed in for a touchdown.
Well, if nothing else, Tennessee has chewed up an awful lot of clock. A drive that started back at their own 15-yard line. This is 3rd and 15 from the 26. Here's Locker's throw. Excellent catch, touchdown. Jared Cook, the tight end. And Tennessee builds on its lead.
Enormous catch by Cook. Working against Rashad Jones. And this is four quarters all the way across. Every defensive back has got a guy. They all have a 5-yard cushion. Locker lays it up perfectly for Cook. He gives the inside move right up the hash mark, fades him away from the defender in the end zone. Tremendous throw, tremendous catch by the Titans.
Acrobatics from the 250-pound tight end, Jared Cook, as Locker finds him for the 26-yard scoring strike. Tennessee covers 85 yards in 12 plays, and their dominance continues on a Sunday here in Miami. Oh, this has been a statement performance so far by Jake Locker in Tennessee when they were so desperate for a turnaround. Locker has come in and shaken them up. Excellent performance by this Mike Munchak defense. And right now 31-3 as Tennessee starts the second half with an 8-minute drive. 12 plays and 85 yards. And Miami continues to stagger on the ropes. Penalty marker thrown late.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 50, receiving team. 10-yard penalty. First down. Timeout.
Olivier Vernon, the culprit. And they are losing hope here in Miami. Down 31-3 in the third quarter. Stay with us. (31-3) your score. A score that no one saw coming, certainly not after Tennessee performed last weekend. 31-3 here, under 7 to play in the third quarter. As Miami, Steve, doesn't touch the football till the 6:47 mark of the third quarter, and here comes Reggie Bush.
And that was an outstanding drive to open the second half by Tennessee, overcoming at the end of it a couple of penalties and some losses. Got a break, no question, when what we thought was a fumble was overturned by down by contact. But wow, what an impressive drive to begin the second half.
First time Bush has been on the field since he fumbled in the first quarter. 1st and 10, nearly picked on the interception. Deflected by Sensabaugh.
Yeah, and you can feel it right here as you see Gaffney working against Sensabaugh. Comes right over, wraps that arm around. I've seen less called and I've seen more not called. I don't think the Dolphins can count on any kind of call in this game for whatever reason.
Tannehill on 2nd and 10. Over the middle, it's caught. Out past the 35-yard line to Brian Hartline. 14 yards and a much-needed Miami first down.
Yeah, no question. And now they're going to go no huddle, which is smart. I mean, this game's they're running out of time, and they're not going to give up. And if you want to have a chance to come back, you got to go no huddle. You got to pick up the pace, and I think it'll help them.
Go. Red Jill. Solo. Go.
1st and 10, draw play. Here's Bush up the gut. Marker right at the line of scrimmage. Tackled by Zach
Holding,
Brown.
number 51, offense. 10-yard penalty, still first down.
And it's just been one of those days, nothing working. Even on a play where they pick up positive yardage, Pouncey is penalized.
One of the things that the Titans are doing is they're waiting till deep into the play clock, and then they'll shift. After Tannehill makes a call to set the play and they turn the headset off, the Titan defense will then shift their front that will try and confuse not Tannehill, but they'll try and confuse Pouncey, the center.
It's very interesting, something that McCarthy talked to us about in our meeting with him yesterday. Trying to keep this Miami offensive line on its heels. 1st and 20 as they bury Tannehill for the sack. Send Derek Marks with a hard hit. And Miami going backwards once again.
From the defensive tackle spot, Marks just comes right in. Gets a lot of help from Zach Brown. Right here, and they creep up, they come in, and Marks comes from the far side, loops around, and comes in untouched. It's going to come from all the way over here, comes right up inside Incognito, and because of the stunt on the other side, there's too much space for Incognito to stop him.
Marks, the former 2nd-round pick in 09. Another incomplete pass. That one intended for the tight end, Clay, and it will be 3rd and 28.
Joe Philbin, I mean, if there's somebody who can relate to what Joe Philbin's going through today, it's Mike Munchak. The exact same thing happened to the Titans last week. It was 31-2 last week in Tennessee. At Chicago, the home team getting thumped pretty good, and today it's the same story on the other foot for the Titans.
Go.
Tannehill trying to keep the play alive. Goes to his check down, Daniel Thomas. Needing to go way out to the 46. Not even close. And Miami will punt. And Steve, what more can you say about this Tennessee defense? They're coming in. We know what happened last week. They were averaging 34 points allowed coming into today. How do you explain this turnaround? It has been incredible.
They were historically bad. I mean, they were worse than teams have been in decades in this league. They were putting up those kind of numbers, and yet today they put it all together, get turnovers, and play well in all phases of their defense.
Reynard backpedaling, fielding from inside his own 5. Excellent return by Reynard. Out past the 30. Tackle made by Amaya after Reynard with a 28-yard return. Timeout. Don't adjust your television. 31-3. Shocking scores so far. Miami team that entered the day just a game back of the Patriots. And first place in the AFC East. So far have been owned by Tennessee. Chris Johnson over the 80-yard mark. Let's go back to the opening drive to start the second half. 85 yards. They chewed up Steve Barr in 8 minutes.
Yeah, they overcame a couple of penalties at the end. This is the play that really could have been the difference for Miami. Ruled down by contact, no fumble, and then it ends up Locker hitting Cook with the acrobatic catch for the touchdown.
Time of possession better than half of what they did the entire first half. 2nd and 6. Johnson close to the 40, tackled by Sean Smith. The other thing about Jake Locker, not huge numbers, just over 100 yards passing. He's got 8 completions, Steve, to 7 different receivers.
Yeah, he has spread the football around, no question, but the plays he made with his legs. And in fact, the 2 passes that we saw in that last drive, the looper to Kenny Britt and the touchdown to Cook, those were really made possible because he's been hurting the Dolphins with his feet. When he's threatened the run, the Dolphins froze their feet and came up to tackle him, and he looped the ball over their head, particularly on the one to Britt, and that made the difference in keeping that drive alive.
Johnson lines up at the offset eye on 3rd and 1. He's got the first down. Johnson now close to the 90-yard mark. And it looks like that long run of 22 straight games for the Miami defense, not allowing a 100-yard rusher, is nearing its end.
Chris Johnson, as we said in the early parts of this game, first 5 games of this season really struggled, did not have good numbers, had trouble getting it going. In the last 5 games, he has really turned it on.
Wait. Let's go. Green 8.
Johnson 6th in the league in rushing entering today. Locker on 1st and 10. Finds his man on the outside. It's Damian Williams making it. And this, and the former USC star with a 16-yard pass play. Last time this Miami defense allowed a 100-yard rusher, Ben Tate. I think it was probably Arian Foster. It was Tate. Long time ago, 103 yards on 23 carries. The Texans' 23-13 victory. 22 straight games since that day.
And you think about it, that's 103 yards. It's not like they gave up 190 or something. I mean, they are tough to run against.
1st and 10, Johnson again inside the 30, got the first down. And right now, this Miami team, just look at the body language, it almost seems like this game is over.
Yeah. And there it is. I mean, he just went over the 100-yard mark for the day, and this Miami team is really, and this defense is really demoralized because of the fact they've been put in a tough position. A pick 6, turnovers in the first half that put them in a bad spot, and a young quarterback for the 2nd week in a row against this Miami defense has looked very good and really had the game of their season.
Ready, go.
1st and 10. That was Reynaud with a chance. Now, people, Stephen, we talked about what happened in Nashville last week at 51-20. But they've had some impressive wins. They beat Pittsburgh, the overtime win at Buffalo.
Yeah, no question. That game last week put out a lot of doubt in people's mind, but they bounced back.
So with that, we've reached the end of the 3rd quarter. Tennessee 31, Miami 3. You're watching the NFL, home of Super Bowl 47. All Tennessee so far, if you've just joined us, 31-3 here. Titans team that entered the day just 3-6 on the heels of a 51-20 defeat to Chicago last Sunday. And boy, have they taken it to Joe Philbin's Dolphins so far. Locker on 2nd and 10 has hit his last 5 throws. Tucks it away himself, takes a hard hit at the 21. Locker wants a penalty.
I don't think he's going to. I don't think that deserved a penalty. Not on first glance. There's no question he runs this and he tries to give himself up, but he kind of slides sideways instead of feet first, and it all happened at the same time. He never reached the ground before the defenders kind of piled on top of him.
It was Kevin Burnett who came in on a hit. Sets up a 3rd and 4 from the 21. Locker airs it out, end zone, incomplete. Unable to find Kenny Britt.
And that's the one throw I've seen all day. We've mentioned how windy it is early in the going. That pass looked to sail a little bit. It didn't turn over in the air, and it kind of, it was overthrown a little bit, no question, but it looked like it got a little further than even it was going to get when he released it.
What a difference a week makes. 37-12 at this point last week against the Bears. They had given up 50 points in that game with 10 minutes remaining. Challenged by their owner, Bud Adams, this week. And boy, have they responded. 38-yard attempt by Baronis is good. And Tennessee building on its lead in a one-sided affair so far in Miami. Inside Sun Life Stadium, Jonathan Berkman, one of our cameramen here in Miami, celebrated a birthday yesterday.
Yeah, enjoy the shorts and t-shirt, Jonathan. It's getting into November. It's not going to last.
Rob Baronis' field goal, 38 yards away, caps a 9-play, 49-yard drive. And this one has been hard to explain, certainly from the Miami side of the field. Dolphins in danger of falling below the 500 mark. And at last check, Steve, New England leading Buffalo in the fourth quarter. So a chance for the Patriots to build now to a 2-game lead atop the AFC East. Booming kick by Baronis through the end zone as Marcus Thigpen helplessly looks on. Ryan Tannehill onto the field, his Dolphins down by 31. Get coverage of every NFL game with NFL Mobile. While on the go, watch live streaming of every touchdown from every game with NFL Network, as well as Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night games and NFL Network's 24/7 coverage. Star download or NFL.com/mobile. Devon Bess on the reception. Also the recipient of a hard hit on that play by Michael Griffin, the two-time Pro Bowler.
You think about these young quarterbacks. Ryan Tannehill still in his first year. I remember some of the other quarterbacks I've spoken to around the league.
Tannehill on 1st and 10. Over the middle is caught. Hard pass on the few bright spots today.
Yeah, I spoke to Peyton Manning about his first year. You see Heartline at the top of your screen. He's going to come on this. And Peyton Manning said, you know, and he was 3-13 in his first year as a starting quarterback, threw a lot of interceptions, a lot of touchdowns. But he said, I learned a lot of good football in the fourth quarter of some bad football games. And Ryan Tannehill is in that situation right now.
Now, this is a game that Reggie Bush would like to soon forget. He was pulled after the first quarter fumble, didn't play for the next, say, quarter and a half. Yeah. And that one went right through his fingertips.
And Ryan Tannehill, you know, finding the right guy, but gets it dropped. And I think there's something to be said for that. Keep a young quarterback in there, run your entire offense, let him get better, even though this game's out of hand. You got to help his development in the midst of this debacle here at home.
Tannehill hooks up with Hardline. Steve, are you as confident in the powers that be here that Tannehill's the long-term guy?
Yeah, I am. I like Tannehill. I think he's a good quarterback. He's got a very strong arm. He's played solidly, and one of the interceptions was tipped. He tried to fit a ball in when he was down 3 touchdowns in and got picked off down his own end. But for the most part, he's played solid football.
Tannehill going sideline, incomplete. Well, coming into today, Tannehill hadn't thrown a pick in 4 games. And we certainly can't blame him for the tip, as Steve pointed out.
Yeah, and it's certainly one of those situations where he needs some help as well. I mean, he's not Dan Marino yet. You see right there, that's Mike Sherman, the offensive coordinator of the Dolphins. I spoke to him this week, and he's pretty positive about this guy. And he has good reason to be.
Tannehill played under Sherman at Texas A&M. Sherman took over before Tannehill's redshirt freshman season. And what a huge day for A&M, by the way, yesterday, with that shocking victory.
Yeah, I think Mike Sherman has said Tannehill has even handled the no huddle much better than he anticipated him being able to. And I think a lot of teams, I mean, we see it as a trend around the National Football League. The faster you run it, the more success you have if you can just make some first downs. Tannehill does a nice job of it.
What a catch by Bess. Sacrificing his body as Tannehill aired it out. as they pick up 16 and a Dolphins first down.
I don't think there's any question if you look at what this team needs. I mean, in a day like this, you kind of say what kind of stands out. But I think the Dolphins, I mean, you got Devon Bez, who's very solid as a slot receiver, very strong on the ball. Hartline has emerged into a very dependable receiver. But I think they'd love to have a big-time, a big physically gifted wide receiver.
Tannehill going end zone again. He had Hartline. Excellent recovery by Jason McCourty to negate the 6.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be perhaps a good catch for a touchdown by Hartline. McCourty gets his eyes around, finds the ball, and gets his hand on it just in the nick of time. Well played by the DB. McCourty knocking it away. You can't do it better than that. Hartline had a shot at it, but McCourty took it away.
Daniel Thomas split at the top of your picture. This is 2nd and 10. Tannehill working from the gun from the 19. Incomplete. Trying to find Thomas.
And Tannehill doesn't like that. I mean, that's on him. It's a little bit outside. You're gonna put it right on, coming from the outside of your screen. He's gonna hook up, and Tannehill's got to put it right on him. Now, Tannehill thinks he's gonna plant and go back out. And that's an incompletion that Tannehill wants to have back. Those are the kind of throws that have to be automatic, 100%, never miss, at least for the quarterback. The receivers will drop them occasionally, or somebody will make a play or jump the route, but that ball has got to be on target 100% of the time.
Intercepted. And that time he put it right in the defender's grasp. Zach Brown on a pick. And Tannehill know what to blame but himself on that play.
Yeah, he just threw it, didn't see Brown, stepped in front of it, and he ended up making the tackle.
3rd interception of the day by Ryan Tannehill. Now, turnovers have been the story. Ryan Tannehill, 0 interceptions in the 4 games coming into today. That was his 3rd a moment ago. Zach Brown, the Titans outside linebacker, had it thrown right in his breadbasket. And for Tannehill, now 9 picks on the season. 1st and 10. Chris Johnson on the ground as we take another look at the pick.
Well, here's Zach Brown. He's going to fake the pressure, then drop back and just follow Ryan Tannehill to his eyes. Tannehill looks, finally throws it, gives Zach Brown a chance to drop back into where he sees Tannehill looking, and then Tannehill throws it and then takes the angle. That's the worst feeling in the world for a quarterback, throwing the football and then trying to take the cutoff angle to get the tackle.
Matt Hasselbeck has come on now in relief of Jake Locker. Locker's day is over. 122 yards through the air. Also 36 rush yards.
And I think the only reason that Locker's on the sideline and Hasselbeck is in is because Locker's got a bad shoulder. And why take a chance on him getting hit late in the game that you're going to win? You want him for next week. His shoulder is fragile. It's as healthy as it's going to be, but it's not as strong or as durable as it needs to be or as you'd like it to be. As we said, he's looking at off-season surgery to fix that, get it back to the structurally sound.
So Matt Hasselbeck, the 37-year-old quarterback, onto the field, 3rd and 8. And that one nearly picked. Well, Sean Smith has had a couple of INTs that he's just flat out dropped. That one, granted, a little bit tougher than the one that we saw last week.
Yeah, when it goes bad, though, nothing goes right. And that has been the story of the day for the Dolphins. Even when they've been in position and had opportunities, it is nothing has gone their way.
So Tennessee's field goal unit back onto the field. Rob Baronis will try from 53 here. He'll sit from 37 and 38. Baronis in the pregame was banging him in from 65 yards out. This one has the distance, and it is good. What a kick by Baronis, 53 yards, and it's a 37-3 Tennessee lead. Chris Johnson and Tennessee taking advantage of the 4 takeaways today. Ryan Tannehill 3 picks, a Reggie Bush fumble back in the first quarter, and a Titans team that was left for dead after giving up 51 to the Bears last weekend has come roaring back today, up 34 points. Miami will get it back, but Ryan Tannehill, shoulders shrugged at this point, getting blown out.
24, run.
37-3, Tennessee dominant today. 9:45 to play, fourth quarter. Spiro Deedon, Steve Tasker, our entire CBS crew from Sun Life Stadium in Miami. At this point, Miami just trying to get anything positive going. Bring with them next weekend. We remind you, coming up, the Subway postgame show from New York. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher will have all the latest scores and highlights. It's all coming up on the Subway postgame show. A couple of marquee games coming down to the finish. Saints and Atlanta today down in New Orleans. There's Tannehill on 2nd and 5, rolling out of the pocket. We'll just throw it out of bounds. So Miami, Steve, a team with a rookie head coach, a rookie quarterback, as we've talked about the turnaround by Tennessee. First 9 games, they had just 9 takeaways. Today, 4 of them.
You know, you talk about things and how they go in the NFL. Things seem to come in bunches. Wins, touchdowns, sacks, interceptions, fumbles. Things like these seem to happen in groups. And you talk to guys who get a lot of sacks, they'll say they'll get 5 in 3 games, then they'll get 0 for 5 games. Touchdowns come that way. You'll get a game like this where you'll get a bunch of them, and then you go a long time where it's just you can't buy one. Things like that happen in this league, and it's strange.
Incomplete again. Sets the ball in the coverage, intended for Bess.
And these two teams are perfect examples of it. You look at that game last week where Tennessee at home turned the football over and just couldn't stop. And today it's the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins in weeks past, they've been blocking kicks right and left. They come in bunches, and now it may be a while before they get another one. It's a game played by a bunch of human beings who are up and down, and sometimes when you're up all together, you can't be beat, and then there's sometimes when you can't buy a break.
Here's Brandon Fields, the punter, having a career year for Miami. Leads the league in both gross and net punt average. This one takes a Tennessee bounce as they down it inside the 40. 37-3 your score with under 9 minutes remaining. Tennessee 37, the Dolphins 3. Matt Hasselbeck on in relief of Jake Locker. Solid day for Locker, his first game action since September the 30th. Multiple dislocations to that left shoulder, and what a day for Chris Johnson. Johnson over the century mark. Had 60 yards in the first half, and he will nearly equal that here, Steve, in the second half.
Yeah, he's running so much better than he did at the beginning of the year. Some of it has to do with the offensive line and the way he feels in his performance, but I think some of it has to do with the emergence of Locker and the help he got from Hasselbeck. When Locker got hurt, he got a veteran quarterback in there that completed a little bit higher percentage of his passes, and now that Locker is back and the game today has gone as it has, it's helped Chris Johnson even more.
Johnson with a $124 on the ground on 22 carries, including a 17-yard touchdown. And even a subtle play like that, Steve, he just makes the first guy miss. He's got that elusiveness back.
When you look at the game he's had, the cutback block and turns it into a touchdown, or inside the 10-yard line, then misses the touchdown as he changes direction, turns on, splits the defenders, and walks into the end zone. So fast in the hole, and what makes him so different, I think, is his ability, and we've said it a number of times, he is a fast guy. He's a scat back, a guy who outruns people, but he's such a good runner inside the tackles as well. He's not afraid to duck his shoulder and get the tough yardage.
2nd and 9. Hasselbeck gives to Raynaud. Johnson, of course, had that huge 2009, over 2,000 yards rushing, and the long holdout, Steve, prior to last season. Finally got the big extension that he wanted, but just didn't look like himself last year. People started to question his desire, his toughness. But he's had a good year this year, that's for sure.
Well, when things go, and let's face it, today's a great example. When things go bad for you, like they're going for the Dolphins, everybody doubts everything. And the Tennessee Titans came into this game, and people were ready to stick a fork in them and their season, and they bounced back big. We tend so much to put too much weight into what we've seen in the most recent days, and not give credence to what the body of work that these teams have put together and these players have put together.
Reynard again on 3rd and 7. Titans needing to get to the 35. He's well short.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Baronis again.
Well, he was hitting from 65 before the game. Kind of no man's land here. There's Baronis on the sideline.
And they're going to stay and keep the offense on the field. They're not going to punt it. They're going to try and convert this 4th down. I wouldn't be surprised, really, if they try and get the Dolphins to jump off sides and maybe not snap it. But then again, why bother? Yeah, I mean, that's...
So Hasselbeck onto the field here will stay there. 4th and 4 from the gun.
Delay a game.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Yeah, well, they were too long in the huddle if they were going to try and get them to jump off sides. And now they're going to end up having to punt it away.
Well, they can't be perfect, but they've been very near perfect today. Up 37-3 as we move inside of 6 minutes.
And if Joe Philbin wants to know what to say to his team or how to handle this week coming up, he can walk across the field at the end of this game, shake hands with Mike Munchak, because it seems that Mike Munchak got it right.
Munchak plays for an owner who's been around a long time. Bud Adams, now 89 years of age, as they signal for the fair catch. And like everything else today, it'll take a Tennessee bounce inside the 10.
That's a good point. It's like everything else.
Miami's owner kind of is another marker who's thrown. Steve, you're right.
Back at midfield late.
Miami's owner Stephen Ross. Steve, obviously much younger, taking over ownership of this franchise in 2009.
Running into the kicker, number 14, defense. Penalty is declined. 1st down.
Yeah, and it's a good... if Tennessee had not gotten that delay of game penalty, that running into the kicker would have given him a 1st down.
So Matt Moore onto the field. Ryan Tannehill's day is done.
Well, I guess Joe Philbin deciding enough's enough.
Matt Moore, the 6th-year vet, filled in for Tannehill after Tannehill went down against the Jets back 2 weeks ago. Suffered that left knee/thigh injury. Moore's had experience here. Led Miami to wins in 6 of their final 9 games last year.
Yeah, in his brief stint in relief this season, Moore was 11-19 for 131 yards and a touchdown.
Louis! Go!
1st and 10 to give to Thomas. Cuts out past the 10. One thing, Steve, we know, as we'll get to that here in a moment, quickly tonight, there are more than 3 million jobs open in America today. How's that possible? 60 Minutes finds out where some of the very best of them are. Tonight, only CBS. Miami at some point, Steve, is going to have to figure out what the identity is of the run game. They've just been too inconsistent. We mentioned the huge start for Reggie Bush. He's kind of tailed off of late.
Ready? Go!
You're right, and you see there's Daniel Thomas carries that ball into the line. They've got Lamar Miller on the roster as well. Reggie Bush, there's no question, he was in the doghouse in the 1st half. He got sat down after the fumble early on, and it hasn't been the same for him since. He got some playing time here in the 2nd half, but once again, he stands there with his chin strap unbuttoned. Lamar Miller and Daniel Thomas getting most of the work today. And Joe Philbin told us, we spoke to him, he told us and he told his team, turnovers are something that have killed us. And I think he's putting his actions where his mouth is. I mean, he's not going to let guys get away with it. There's going to be some repercussions.
More on 1st and 10. Chased out of the pocket. Just running out of bounds at the 20. And look, you don't want to read too much into a game like this, but it's one thing for the Giants, who are getting blown out today by Cincinnati, to have an off day. I'm not sure Dolphins fans will give this team a pass, a team that doesn't have a very good track record the last couple of years.
That's true, but this is a team 4-4 coming in. They were a handful of plays from winning a couple of other games, maybe even 3 other games. You think about that. That's an enormous switch around from 4-4 maybe to 6-2, 7-1. That's how close they have seemed to be at times. And then today, to come out and lay an egg like this, it makes you question everything you have thought about the front half of the season. Like I said, you shouldn't get carried away with how bad things have gotten today for the Dolphins. They're still the same team that they were 4-4 coming into today. They've done some good things on both sides of the football. And Tennessee, after getting their hats handed to them last week, bounced back, and they can go into their bye week breathing a little easier.
And you talk to people around the Tennessee organization, people that travel with the team, it's awfully late to get that bye week, week 11. I mean, it has been a long haul to get to this point. And finally, something to feel good about for the Titans, as their record will go to 4-6. Moore is hit and sacked at the 15 by Ebo. First-year man out of Stanford, the 26-year-old, able to get to Moore. Never saw him coming until it was too late.
Does a nice job of slapping down. And actually, there you see that was actually Jarius Wynn, who just took Ebo's place. I had him on my roster as well. That was Jarius Wynn, who's now wearing 79 for the Titans.
So Miami on to punt here. Darius Raynaud from inside his own 40. And again, the turnovers have been the story. This was the Reggie Bush fumble at the 8-minute mark of the first. And Steve, Tennessee opportunistic all day.
Absolutely. You get the batted ball there that led to the touchdown. Then this one, which is a 50-50 ball that led to the field goal. And then it just got worse and worse for the Dolphins. And here Tannehill drops it, and that sets Tennessee up deep in Dolphin territory that led to this long field goal late in the game after it was really already decided. But early on, this game started to go south on the Dolphins, and they just couldn't put the brakes on. Tennessee, after having experienced this exact same thing at their place last week, they put their foot on the gas and didn't look back.
Darius Raynaud right up the gut inside Miami territory. Runs for 13 yards at a Tennessee first down. Chris Johnson done for the day, looking on.
And I think, we've been talking about a little bit about, as we approach the 2-minute warning here, both these teams, Tennessee is not as good as 37-3, and Miami is not as bad. But these teams both have work to do.
2-minute warning in a game that can't end soon enough for the Dolphins, down 37-3. Jake Locker, all smiles today. Back on the field for the first time in 6 weeks. This one all but over here. Final 2 minutes will come off the clock. Tennessee 37, Miami 3. Dolphin fans.
That's a pretty tough tattoo to live with today.
Well, he hasn't covered up. He's wearing his colors despite the tough day. Ryan Tannehill, 3 picks if you've just joined us. A Miami team that came in just a game back of the Patriots as New England continues to lead the AFC East. Just did not have any answers right from the start.
Yeah, that's a game in Foxborough that's going down to the wire. Patriots with the ball leading by 3 points.
Patriots and Buffalo in that game. And their look at the updated standings. That was the standings coming in terms of the Patriots record. Miami will go to 4-5.
Yeah, you think back to 3 weeks ago, all those teams were 3-3 together.
New England wins, they'll go to 6-3 and will build their lead to 2 games. And Colin McCarthy back at Sun Life Stadium for the first time since he started here as a collegiate player for the Miami Hurricanes.
You think about what this Miami team is facing, and I think it's a good thing. They play Thursday night in Buffalo, which will give them an opportunity to shove this game into the rearview mirror and move on to the next game. They don't have a choice, and I think that's a good thing for the Dolphins.
Well, Bud Adams, the 89-year-old owner of the Titans, challenged his franchise this week, and boy, did they respond. As the Titans dominant today here in Miami. They do it behind 126 yards on the ground from Chris Johnson. And Jake Locker with another 122 through the air. And win it by 34 points.
And Joe Philbin and his staff will go through the same kind of week that Mike Munchak went through this week. Philbin hoping that his team will draw motivation from the embarrassment getting beat like this at home, turning the football over. And you can bet that they will. You can bet that this Dolphin team will bounce back and play much better this Thursday night in Buffalo.
Titans go to 4-6. Miami now at 4-5. Your final score: Tennessee 37 and Miami 3. Coming up next, the Subway postgame show from New York. Now for Steve Tasker and our entire CBS crew, this is Spiro Ditas saying so long from Miami. You've been watching the NFL on CBS. We'll join James Brown in New York after this.